We hear a lot about fake news in the media. This isn't anything new, of course. The term fake news goes back to the 1800s, and the term false news seems to go back about 3 centuries before that. And other examples of the idea itself can be found in the ancient world. Today we're going to talk about what fake news is and how we can prevent ourselves from being fooled by it. Hey there, everyone. My name is Dwayne Bryant. It's great to have you with us again today. If you haven't subscribed to this channel already, you can hit the subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, and if you click the bell, you'll get a notification every time I post something new. Today we're talking about fake news, or maybe it's better to say false information. This kind of information is never intended to be an honest reporting of the facts. Instead, it's meant to mislead or deceive. Sometimes it's meant to damage someone's reputation or demonize a person or group who thinks differently. Now, this phenomenon isn't anything new. The usage of the term fake news appeared in American journalism in the 1800s. We see the term false news in the English language going back as far as the 1500s. And the use of deception and false reports to influence others was used by leaders in the ancient world. For instance, Ramses the Great of Egypt was a great warrior and builder. He was also a great liar. He was almost defeated at the Battle of Kadesh in 1274 BC. After returning home, Ramses portrayed the battle as a lopsided victory for the Egyptians. He commissioned stone carvings of battle scenes, showing him shooting fleeing Hittite soldiers in the back and rolling over their bodies in his chariot like speed bumps. In reality, the battle was a stalemate, with Ramses only narrowly avoiding a catastrophic defeat. Another guy who used false news was Octavian, who would later become Augustus Caesar. He was a master of fake news. In the Civil War, he fought against Mark Antony. Octavian described his rival as a philanderer, womanizer, and a drunk who was anything but fit to lead Rome. Well, he implied that Antony had become corrupted by Cleopatra and was not only her lover, but her puppet. This made Antony appear more foreign and less Roman, which was especially damaging because the Romans were suspicious of foreigners and powerful women. Octavian was able to seal his case by producing what he claimed was Mark Antony's will, a document that was almost certainly a forgery. Well, during the 2nd and 3rd centuries of the church, Roman writers often spread misinformation about early Christians also. They were condemned as cannibals because of rumors that they ate the flesh and drank the blood of a man, which was a reference, of course, to the Lord's Supper. They were also portrayed as incestuous, likely due to their practice of calling one another brother and sister. They were also accused of atheism, interestingly enough, because they didn't worship the Roman gods. These charges make it look like Christians were weird, untrustworthy, and even risks to national security for the Roman Empire. With the rise of satire news sites, we often see fake news in social media. We see it quite a lot, actually. And so you'll see stories of archaeologists finding the remains of an Egyptian army on the floor of the Red Sea, or an article claiming that scholars have found the remains of a gigantic race of people, which surely must be the Nephilim mentioned in Scripture. Now, occasionally you'll hear about discoveries that could possibly overturn the traditional understanding of the Bible, like the discovery of some ancient manuscript which contradicts Scripture. Well, all of these stories are false, but people often share them thinking that they're true. So how do we detect these kinds of stories, and how do we prevent ourselves from being fooled by them? Well, first of all, consider the source. One of the key features of fake news is the outlet. Stories appear on sites that identify themselves as satirical in nature, and you have to look at the fine print to see it on the website. They don't make it immediately obvious. You really have to go looking for it. And make sure that you do that before sharing anything that sounds like it might be just a little too good to be true. Secondly, research the author. Some of the most hostile critics of Christianity are so biased that most of what they write is pretty worthless. It doesn't deserve our time. But there are other articles written for entertainment purposes only, so they may not even have an author. And if they do, the author may be fictional or may even identify himself or herself as a satirist in their online biography. So they're tipping their hand there. So make sure you research an author's credentials to discover if the article is genuine or not. Third, check the sources. Authors of fake news about Christianity will often cite sources that sound credible, but in reality they're just invented. An author may say they used a professor at some respectable school as a source. Well, the school probably exists and may even be a prestigious one, but check the faculty page. I can virtually guarantee you that the professor in question is probably a fictional person that was invented to sell the article. Finally, consult the experts. Checking sources takes time, but it's worth it if it prevents us from being duped by some author trying to poke fun at Christianity or make us look foolish. And for everyone watching out there, if you have a question about something that sounds too good to be true, email me. My email is listed on the channel's homepage, and I'd be glad to be a resource for you. Well, fake news is often intended to be humorous, but being fooled by it is no laughing matter. There are those in our world who want to use fake news to make God's people appear foolish. Whether they succeed is largely up to us. Everyone, thanks for spending a little bit of your day with me. See you next time.